I just thought it looked really cool, and I was like, whatever that is, let's name our band after that.
All right, John and Sam from Kali Masi, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you
Doing
doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. It's been an interesting day, but otherwise, life's been pretty good overall. It's stoked to have you on the show. I know that we had to kind of jump through a few scheduling hoops to get this rolling, so I'm glad that we were able to finally get this together. So yeah, pleasure to have you here. Um, so Kali Masi is a band from Chicago, a punk rock band who are currently about to release a new record called Laughs on Take This to the Heart Records. And yeah, it's available for pre-order now. It's a follow-up to their last full length called Wind Instrument, which was released in 2017, which there was another B-sides record called Square Pegs released in 2020. But yeah, so this is obviously going to be an interesting thing for you guys to be doing. Like, I mean, anyone releasing music during this whole crazy time, it's been kind of a wild experience, but we're coming towards the end of the pipe. It's coming out here in later this month, actually. So, stoked to have you on. I'd love to kind of pick your brain a little bit about what you guys have been up to and what's in the future. So, right off the bat, I'd love to kind of get an idea. So tell me a little bit about Kali Masi, where you're from, how the band started, just a little bit of a history of the band.
I was thinking about this today. My first memory of Kali Masi was, so we were called the Howl for the first 5 years of this band. I was a junior in high school, and Sam and I went to the same high school. And he then we lived in a suburb called Naperville, a suburb of Chicago, and he moved to Chicago for school. And his freshman year, he would come back to Naperville from the city, and we started jamming. And my first memory of this band is him showing me the guitar riff to Tremors from our first EP in your parents' basement, Sam. And then it just all started from there.
Yeah, that was like 2012, maybe even 2011. So we've been kind of cracking away at it for a long time and touring a whole bunch the whole time that we've been a band. Yeah, I mean, we're a four-piece. There are two other dudes in the band, Anthony and Wes. And yeah, we're about to put out our second full length, which, I mean, 2 full lengths in 10 years is not the best track record as far as staying super active. Not that we haven't been active the entire time. We just put out records kind of slowly. But yeah, me and John met in high school through music and skateboarding, and have been just doing the thing since then.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to kind of mention about, you've had this, this time together as a band, and you've only released a couple of, full lengths during that time. But I think there is a lot to be said about quality over quantity, and I mean, I've listened to your guys' music. I think it's great. I think it sounds awesome. And, I'd imagine that in the long run, it's, I guess, better to have waited to release a more quality record than just churned out a bunch of stuff over and over. But I guess at the other side of that coin, though, there can be some good stuff coming out of, I guess, the practice of releasing music more often. And I mean, I think that nowadays there might be a little bit more to releasing smaller doses quicker, I think especially with like the marketing aspect of music and the way that we promote bands, because for a long time, it kind of seemed like the way that we did these things was you would, work, put together your best set of songs, and then put together the album of the best songs you had. And even if you had to sit on them for like 5 years, you would release it. But now it seems like if you release two or three songs every few months, that's a little bit better in terms of keeping you in the spotlight. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think maybe I'm a little bit old school in that respect, but I really do love albums. And I think that while it is true that like it's better for bands to release like EPs, and just like some bands just exist on singles, some bands just release singles, and like I think that that's really interesting. But to me, it always seems like that is more of a path to like, if you release the EP, then you can sell more merch, or you can plug this other thing. It almost becomes like a way to put more momentum behind selling products rather than like growing your band at times. And I don't mean any offense by that to bands that operate that way. But I think for us, we're really focused on like putting records out that we know are going to be around probably after the four of us are not around anymore. And like, so I think it's important to like you said, quality over quantity. If I could write songs that I was super proud of, like every single day, and release them, I would do that every single day. But I think we release records when we're ready to. And I think that that's a good way to operate.
Yeah, I think like there is a lot of pressure to stay relevant, like in music, and I'll always be like the hot new thing. But I just think, like what Sam was saying, substantially, like that's just not really going to work out in the long run. I think if you're trying to like play music for a while or keep your band going like a longer than a few years, I like sometimes worry about bands who like try to churn out content as much as possible, because you definitely see them burn out, and I don't think we have any intention of burning out. And I don't think we have any intention of putting out music that like feels rushed, or like life's pretty long. Like people are going to want music forever. So and like if you put out a record, you might like want it to be out as soon as possible. But I think, in retrospect, 30 years down the line, you're probably not, you'd regret not waiting like a little bit longer just to make it something that you're proud of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And I also kind of feel like, if you're going to like, say you put out one record that people are like, I love this. This is amazing. Where's the next one? And then you're like, shit. And you put out the next one and the next one. And you're just like you said, just churning them out. I don't see where that gets you. Like, I think that it maybe gets more eyes on you, but the more eyes and the more media and press and fans and stuff, it just turns into more pressure for you to just keep doing that. And that just seems like it would turn into a downward spiral. Like we're very, very few musicians, especially in punk rock, are going to be rich, much less than will be even remotely famous. So like none of those are maybe the two pathways outside of just like having a massive body of work by the time you've released 5 records. So I just don't see where that would get you. Like objectively, like if you were just going to churn out a bunch of records, I just think that would end you somewhere you don't want to be. And it would disconnect you from probably the reason why you fell in love with music in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid and totally fair. Because I definitely agree with you that the whole pressure to release content, like this content driven, society that we're in, where, likes and follows and, trying to put together like smart quips on TikTok, just to kind of remain in the public eye. It's kind of like a weird byproduct of like the attention span of people just kind of like diminishing and dwindling into like the small little pockets, because we're just inundated with media all the time, right? Whether or not it's music or movies or TikTok videos or, stuff on YouTube or however you choose to get your media. There's just a ton of it now. And it, because before it used to be, you had TV, you had the radio, and then you had physical media. But now it's like we carry around these media devices with us wherever we go. And I mean, what do we do when we're bored? We flip on whatever. And, I think that that's totally a great thing to talk about with, as a musician, especially like within like the punk rock world. You're right. Like most bands are not going to be able to turn this into a career. They're just not going to. And the ones that do, good on them. And hopefully they can sustain that and go the rest of their lives and do it. I mean, it can happen, but it's pretty rare. And I think it's good to have that presence of mind, knowing that, okay, like, I would rather just focus on the quality, no matter how long it takes, and release something that we're happy with. And then everything else is like the icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's great. And, so I'm curious about like, so Take This to the Heart Records. How did you guys end up working with them?
You want to answer that, Sam? It's Take This to Heart Records. No.
My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. Take This to Heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take This to Heart. I think we had just recorded our first record, Wind Instrument, and we were just shopping it around and talking to a bunch of people, and we had never heard of Take This to Heart before. They were like a much smaller label then than they are now. And Joe Urban, the guy who founded the label and runs it, just took a liking to our band and just reached out, and it was a nice fit. I mean, we were pretty careful about like who we were going to team up with, and he's just been super supportive throughout the first record and this next record, and it's been cool to be on a label that's kind of growing at the same kind of rate as your band is, we met on the first record.
Nice. And I mean, in terms of like I guess the label aspect, like from a family aspect, like do you feel like that's something that you will want to continue with down the road, like probably working with the same people like going forward?
I think just working with whoever wants to. We have this discussion as a band a lot that like it's really important to make sure that maybe instead of like the biggest label or the biggest look, like you just have people that are on your team that want to be on your team and want to do the thing that you're doing. Cause like at the end of the day, like me and Anthony and Wes and John are the people who are creating what we want to create. And like, we just need people to go like, yeah, I agree with that. And I believe in it. And like, whoever that is, like, of course you can be on our team. Like, we'd love to have you. So as long as that is in the conversation, like, yeah, whoever.
Sweet. Another question for you guys. How did you come up with the name Kali Masi? Like, where does that come from?
Kali Masi is a type of chicken.
Oh.
If you look it up, it's I think, Sam, you saw a picture of the chicken online or in a magazine or something, and looked it up, and it's a type of chicken. It's also known as Kadaknath. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But
I just thought it looked really cool, and I was like, whatever that is, let's name our band after that. That feels right.
Yeah. It's a jet black chicken, like even the organs and the skin and the eggs are all black.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever heard of that before. I mean, I that's why I asked, because I mean, I had never heard what Kali Masi was. I wasn't sure if it was like something that you guys made up, or I mean, I assumed that it's something like you probably found in like a book or something, but like maybe it was like a character or something. But no, that's interesting. I mean, band names.
We get the Indiana Jones question a lot.
Oh, right.
I guess there's a line in Indiana Jones like Kali Ma or something.
Yeah,
but I don't even remember that when we named it that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where my head went to the first time that I heard it. Was like, Kali Ma Shukti Day, or like whatever it is. He does like the beating heart scene in Temple of Doom. But no, that's cool. And
well, that too.
Well, sure. Yeah. We got it from Temple of Doom. I love it. Yeah. I mean, do you guys have a favorite Indiana Jones movie?
I don't know the difference.
That's fine. I will say that the Crystal Skull, I recently saw that and like had to shut it off.
Yeah. Is that the Shia LaBeouf one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And like, I mean, like, I don't know how old you guys are. Like I'm 42. So I grew up, like loving those movies when I was a little kid, like, so Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, just Last Crusade, great movies. Love them.
I don't think I've seen Last Crusade. I had Raiders of the Lost Ark on VHS, and I've probably seen that one the most.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Last Crusade's great. It's got Sean Connery in it.
But, okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Sean Connery's kind of problematic these days, but he's also passed away. But anyway, moving on. So tell me a little bit about like the Chicago scene. I mean, because you guys are from Chicago, and are you in Chicago proper nowadays, or are you outside of the city, like in the burbs? Or
yeah, I live in Avondale.
I'm in Humboldt Park, so
okay. I mean, Chicago's a big place, so I mean, are you all pretty close to each other in proximity?
Couple miles, yeah.
Okay, got it.
We got practice space down the street that we all drive to and meet up a couple times a week. Yeah, it's all close for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, so tell me about like what's going on in the Chicago scene right now. Like, what? I mean, obviously nothing's happening right now, but
live streams.
Oh, really? Are there a lot of live streams going on?
I don't know. I think so. Audio Tree is here, so a lot of bands will do that. Do like those little live stream audio tree staged sessions these days.
Yeah, you guys have one of those for sure, right? Yep.
Yeah, there's a really supportive music scene in Chicago. It's funny that you ask about Chicago scene because we've done a few interviews for Presser on this record, and a lot of people are like pointing out to us that there is just a lot of cool stuff happening in our city right now. And I guess that didn't really occur to me, but there are like a lot of bands that are kind of like just starting to hit that level where people are noticing them kind of all at the same time. I don't know how much water that opinion holds, but there are like, there's a great history of awesome punk bands like Alkaline Trio and the Lawrence Arms and Hey Mercedes and Braid, I guess, are from Central Illinois and bands like that. There's like Rat Boys and Into It Over It and Sincere Engineer and Beach Bunny and stuff like that. There's a really strong music scene here, and it's people who are just like totally down to like work super fucking hard on the music they're putting out. And it's cool. It's cool to be around for sure.
Yeah. I always joke that there are like 300 different music scenes in Chicago, and I haven't met most of them. There'll be like really, really good bands like on the other side of the city or whatever that you never really run into because there are so many talented people here, and it's, a pretty big city.
Right. Are you guys familiar with Brian Moss? Like from the band Hanalei, Great Apes, or The Ghost, or The Wonder Years, or any of those bands?
I know those bands. I don't know him.
Anyway, he was the guitar player and the singer in a lot of those bands, but he lived in Chicago for a long time, and I actually had him as a guest not that long ago, and we were talking a little bit about the difference between like the Chicago scene versus like, say, the San Francisco Bay Area scene, because he's been involved in both, quite extensively. He lived in Chicago for years, and then he's lived in the Bay Area for years. And, one of the things that he mentioned was that, Chicago is just so much bigger, like in terms of like the, not only the amount of space that it takes up, but just the amount of people. And I think the history too, because it's been around a little bit longer. And I don't know, based on your guys' experiences, I mean, is there anything that you would say is like a key differentiator between the Chicago punk rock scene versus other scenes that you've kind of been exposed to? I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is just like my blunt opinion is that the culture of the Midwest is working class people, and it's a working class music scene. There's not a lot of, there is showmanship, but it's not in the same way that you would get out of like, my experiences, like when we played shows in LA for the first time, or like New York City, especially, where like, there's such a community in Chicago where like everybody helps each other load in and load out and make sure people get paid and watches each other's sets. And then like playing shows in small clubs in New York City where like you show up for your set, your fans show up for your set, and then you leave and your fans leave after your set. And it's like, oh, this isn't a bill. It's 4 separate 30-minute sets. And like, I'm not here for that really. So like, I don't know. I guess that was my experience. Like when we first started touring in the United States, I was just like, there are amazing musicians all over the country and amazing bands all over the country. And the way that we do things is always a little different and interesting to see. But I think that in Chicago, there's just like, it's just so blue collar. And I just think that that's really apparent when you see bands, just how they interact and how they play, and how they market themselves too.
Yeah, there's definitely something to say too with, and I think we've talked about this before, like since we're in the center, we're in the Midwest or whatever, we can drive 10 hours to the East Coast and play shows and like kind of go to the East Coast a couple times a year. And then we could drive 10 hours west and play shows in the West Coast, where I feel like it's probably a bigger deal maybe if for West Coast bands to go to the East Coast and vice versa. So we're kind of like, like when we first started touring, we do a month-long tour out west, and then like 6 months later we would do out east, and then out west, and then out east. And like I don't know how like bands from like fucking Maine or something, I don't know how often they can drive out to like Southern California and play shows.
Yeah, I mean that's a substantially different kind of undertaking, unless you're flying, and then renting or something like that. But then the costs get so much crazier. And yeah, I mean, like with Tsunami Bomb. So I play in Tsunami Bomb, and we don't really have the option to do like these bigger tours, because of like just our daily lives and family obligations and such. So we usually just do like little pockets, and we just typically we fly, and then we rent a van, and then we just do the 2 or 3 dates, and then we come home, depending on where we're going. And that's really worked great for us, because thankfully we have a great booking agent, and we're able to kind of make that work that way. But yeah, I mean, like, but years and years and years ago, shoot, the band was doing like 2 and 3 month long tours, and just like, I mean, when this all kind of gets over with, keeping our fingers crossed that it's by the fall like they're predicting, do you guys have anything kind of in the works right now for touring?
Yeah, we have a European tour booked for November that we've rebooked like 3 times now. And we keep just having to postpone it. And yeah, fingers crossed that it happens. We've been to Europe once before, and it was a very fun, interesting, unique experience that we want to go again. So yeah, we're just hoping like once everything's safe, and that people are safe and people are healthy, and that we can have a fun, successful tour that we can go in November. Honestly, it might get pushed back again, but so far, tickets are on sale, and we're practicing for it. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like I think the last big tour we did was in Europe, and then we had some time off. We worked on the record. COVID hit. It's been a super long time since we toured the United States. Since we did the last extensive one that we did was with Less Than Jake, and it was so fun. And it was like, I'm never thought I would be so like homesick for a United States tour, but like I just kind of haven't driven around this place in kind of a long time, and I fucking miss it. So I'm really looking forward to whenever, it seems like a question mark for Europe, but through the grapevine, that we all have our ear to, it seems like US might be in good shape for the fall. And I'm very interested in how different touring is going to be right after COVID kind of concludes, and we're in that first like feeling it out kind of thing, because it's going to be small clubs and half filled rooms, and like a little bit of like shell shock, kind of just interacting with each other is going to be different. Can you imagine like sharing a microphone after the band just used it? Like that's gone. No way. Like it's going to be so different. And I'm looking forward to fucking all of it, man. I'm just excited to get out of this room and back to see people,
Yeah, I mean it's been such an incredible like shared head trip, to kind of deal with being in our homes for this long, and not being able to do the things that we're so used to doing and taking for granted, like casually going down to the bar and having a few beers with your friends, or casually going to a club to go see some band that you've never heard of, or casually just getting onto public transportation to go to work or something like that. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but once I get the vaccine, I'll feel a lot better. That's for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that by May 1st, like I guess they announced that May 1st is when they're supposed to let everyone be eligible. So we shall see. But
yeah.
Does Tsunami Bomb have shows? I don't know how active you guys are. I definitely recognize the name. Do you guys have shows lined up or had to cancel shows or anything?
So we didn't have anything that got canceled. Because we had done a small run of shows prior to the shutdown, and we had things that we wanted to do, but nothing had been set in stone. There were like a few festivals that we were kind of hoping for, but we never got the word on those anyway. Moving into later this year, we've been talking about it, but nothing is in the works really, I think really we're just kind of waiting to see, because, we released our last record in 2019 at the end of the year. And we were hoping to kind of capitalize on some small pocket touring in early 2020 to really help launch that. But, we what could we do? So
yeah. Were you you're on the fest lineup?
No, we're not on fest this year. No.
Okay. That's definitely where I recognize it.
Yeah, we did it in 2019 and 2018 though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we've definitely crossed paths on. Do you know like DFMK?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Definitely recognize your band.
Yeah. Yeah. Those guys are great. And I caught you guys at Fest, I believe. I can't remember if I saw you guys at Pooza either. Did you guys play Pooza in 2019?
19? No, maybe. I don't remember.
17
yeah, I'm trying to remember because I know. So I remember I saw you guys, and now I can't remember which fest it was, but I remember asking somebody, I was like, "Who are these guys? These guys are great." And they're like, "Oh yeah, this is Kali Masi." I'm like, "Oh, that's rad." So that was my.
Was it at like that the Foo record, the Foo venue in Montreal for Pooza?
What's it
called?
Fails
or whatever.
No, I know what you're talking about. The the Mechanique, like the something. Oh God,
I don't know. Whatever.
It's gone.
But I think it was like 2017. Last time we played.
Okay. Well, we didn't play 2017, but regardless, no. I remember seeing you guys, not knowing who you were, and asking somebody who you were, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, this is Kali Masi," and that's the first time I had been exposed, and I liked what I heard. And then, fast forward, I've heard your songs here and there over the years, and I caught wind that you guys were going to be doing this new record. So, no, it's great that we were able to connect and get this rolling. This podcast has been kind of an interesting way for me to keep busy during the pandemic, and it's kind of like a labor of love, and I just enjoy getting to meet new folks, and hopefully we'll cross paths down the road later too. But you guys are going to be hopefully going out to Europe for this new tour. And then, talking about like the way that things are going to be kind of different and odd, once shows start happening, it's going to be interesting because like so many bands are going to be trying to vie for the spots at the clubs that are open, because unfortunately we have lost some clubs over this time. Like we've lost DIY spaces, we've lost clubs, and let's face it, like the bands that have bigger names and bigger draws are going to be the ones who are given the priority, which is, let's face it, the clubs that run like a business are going to have to do that for their own benefit, which is fine. But I do wonder like how bands who are on like the mid to smaller tier, are going to be able to kind of see through that and get like maybe like some of those better shows, or maybe more shows to fill out a tour, like a proper tour. Like what do you think? What do you predict? Do you predict anything like specifically about that, or do you think that that's like a fear that isn't really founded in anything?
I think that's a totally realistic thing to, like you said, a lot of smaller venues have closed, and the ones that are still open are really money hungry right now. And of course, like, the the Killers should probably play an arena, but they're probably going to play some pretty huge club shows in the next year. And I hope that whoever's booking those shows has the moral true north to like scoop up some smaller bands and throw them on like some locals on every bill. You know, like that would be the cool thing to do. But people in this industry, for some reason, aren't always the coolest. So I'm sure they'll just follow the money around. But I mean, I think that with COVID, a lot of people were like, what's going to happen to music? Like, music's not fucking going anywhere. The music industry took a huge hit and will continue to rebuild and figure itself out. But like, music, it's just like, you know, when we were fucking kids and we wanted to play music, we find a place to play and find people that want to go, and you know that will happen forever. It doesn't matter if money exists, it doesn't exist, doesn't matter who's in power, doesn't matter who's like what's going on. Like, people will always fucking play shows, and they will always find a corner of their apartment to put a drum kit and a rug down and like charge $1 for beer. Like, it's not going anywhere. And that's a super optimistic viewpoint on it as far as like answering your question. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the big venues and the big tours. I don't fucking know. I hope we get on some of them, but we're definitely going to play shows. I mean, I don't care where.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people that I've spoken to about this are kind of hoping, honestly, that it goes back to more house shows and more like DIY places and like smaller little like cafes and stuff like that, because to them it's much more intimate, you know. And you know, you win some things from that, but you also lose some things from that. Like, I mean, maybe you won't have as good of sound quality. Like, you won't have like these top-notch like sound, you know, systems, or you might not have like a dedicated sound person who does monitors or whatnot. But the emotion, the feeling is still there. And I think you're totally right. Like, I think that people will find a way to make it. I mean, they're already making it happen, even with all the restrictions and whatnot. And I mean, I think that's tacky as fuck personally, but you know, it is happening. And when it's safer to do it, I do hope that places are, like you said, like doing that due diligence to kind of keep it more open for everyone that's involved. Because, you know, something that I can speak to, and I'm not sure what your experience with this is from your guys' angle, or like what it's been in Chicago, but a lot of smaller bands are the ones that have really driven a lot of like the benefiting towards these clubs. Like, I know that like in the Bay Area, you know, we have a place like Bottom of the Hill, we have a place like El Rio, we have Gilman, you know, we have these smaller spaces. And it's not that bigger bands haven't done nothing, but a lot of smaller Bay Area bands have really driven like that. Hey, like, we need to save these places, like, because where else are we going to play? You know, like, we want these places to exist. We want them to be around. So, I mean, has that been happening in Chicago?
Yes. With the one that comes to mind the most is the venue Empty Bottle in Chicago. It's been around forever. And yeah, you don't see, you know, the bands that have surpassed a room like that to play huger rooms going back to save the bottle. You see little bands that are like, that need it, you know, that need that home, that are like scrapping together the benefit t-shirts and the benefit GoFundMe's and stuff. And I don't know why that is. Well, I do know why that is. I wish it was, you know, the people with, that have made a living off of music that were able to like throw some money at where they came from. I'd like to think that I would do that if I were in that position. But yeah, I've totally seen the same thing.
Yeah, it's killer. So with this new album coming out, it's on pre-order right now. Go pick it up. You were telling me before we started that you were actually trying to put together an album release, like a virtual one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to dish out any information about that as of right now? Like, you said it was kind of in its infancy, so maybe like all the details aren't fleshed out, but I mean, is there any info that you'd be willing to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be through Booze Cruise, the European festival. So, but it's on the internet, so anybody can go, obviously. But yeah, we're trying to figure out a way to make it really special. I know the live stream thing has like really just no one needs it. You know, like I just don't think people are like stoked to see a lot of live streams going on. But we're knocking our heads together to make it really fun and make it a little different. So yeah, just keep an ear out for it. We're still kind of building up what we want to do for it, but yeah, it'll likely be like on a Facebook event or something like that. And yeah, I don't know, John, do you have anything on that?
Oh man, it sucks like putting out a record and not being able to get with people in a physical room and like celebrate it or play it, at least play it like live. But we're doing what we can, you know, like there are a bunch of, you know, people are coming up with creative ways of celebrating their records and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We might ask some friends bands if they want to like also play some songs on it. We might do like a little interview thing or like, and show some of our videos on it. So yeah, it'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. You're kind of going back to the Chicago thing a little bit. Who are some bands from Chicago? And I'm this is a precursor to my next question, which I already kind of gave you a heads up on. But who are some bands from Chicago specifically that you like? Some of your favorites, like historically.
Just the whole history. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
You go first.
one of the first times I heard Alkaline Trio, Sam, was I went to your MySpace page and My Little Needle was one of your MySpace songs. And I was like,
Hell yeah.
I hadn't listened to Alkaline Trio before. I was like this is cool. This is cool. And around that same time, a friend of mine got me into the Lawrence Arms, which is a band. I was like, yeah, this is sick. But I didn't like fully appreciate it until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. What other Chicago band? Dude, Maps and Atlases. We used to love Maps and Atlases. They're a Chicago band.
Maps and Atlas is awesome. I mean, outside of the Lawrence Arms thing, definitely, I mean, Sundowner. It connected, but still good. Downtown Struts and Volume. Both awesome Chicago bands. Cloakroom, I guess they're technically from Northwest Indiana, but they're amazing. Our friends in Typesetter, they're an awesome band that have put out a few like really solid records. Meatwave is definitely like probably my like current like number one Chicago band is Meatwave. They're like just an amazing. If you like what's the band they always remind me of? Holy shit. I don't remember. They're great.
Yeah.
No, not Proto Martyr. I think kind of a Proto Martyr thing going on.
Hot Snakes?
Hot Snakes. Yeah, if you're like a Hot Snakes fan, like your Meatwave is just like an infectious fucking band. They're so good.
Yeah, I got turned on to them not that long ago, actually. And yeah, I was immediately like, dude, this is good. This is really good.
Yeah.
I love Hot Snakes. Like Hot Snakes is fucking incredible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So your favorite Chicago bands, Andy?
Oh, my favorite Chicago band of all time is easily Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah.
I was almost gonna say that.
Them.
Yeah, like hands down. And I mean, like I wear that like a badge of honor. Dude. I fucking love the Smashing Pumpkins. I know people, you know, can say what they want about Billy Corgan. You know, he's Billy Corgan, but they're like the band that got me into playing guitar. You know, so that's that. But you know, other Chicago area bands that I personally really love, like I love Alkaline Trio as well. Blue Meanies are fucking incredible. And let's see who else. I mean, Hey Mercedes, are they from Chicago proper or are they from somewhere else in Illinois?
I think Hey Mercedes is a Chicago band. Bob Nana lives here now. I don't know. It could have been a Champaign-Urbana thing or wherever they were from in central Illinois, but I think it counts.
Yeah, but Hey Mercedes is fucking awesome. I mean, there's a bunch. Chicago's such a rich, you know, music city. It has been for forever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Naked Raygun.
Yeah.
Castavet was an awesome like early top shelf band. Sea of Shit is an awesome hardcore band from here that I think some of the same members. Yeah, it's a good music town, I think.
No, absolutely. Well, okay, yeah. So this segues me to then my next question is, like, who are some bands that you just really want to give a shout out to? Like bands that you think people just need to have their eyes on and their ears on right now. Out, like, from anywhere, not even just in Chicago.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
Dude, every band that I get into is either because you, Sam, are playing them in the van, and I'm like, dude, nice. Who's this? Pretty good. And then I look him up later. Or our friend Joe always like gets me into music, but I'm not like a huge music nerd in the sense that I'm like very good at discovering new music. It usually has to take someone playing it like in our tour van for me to be like, oh, this is fucking cool. You showed us that band Kills Birds, Sam, that are really rad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kills Birds is great. I caught them actually opening for Hot Snakes, and they blew my mind.
Fuck.
They were great.
Weird.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Wow. That record is so good. It's like way up there for me.
Yeah,
fuck.
Yeah, I know that they, I think, were just about to release a record I think that they were about to like go on another tour with like some big band or something like that, but then it all like fell apart. But I caught that was actually one of the last shows I saw before the shutdown. Was Hot Snakes and Kills Birds in a small place in Oakland, and it was fucking awesome. Yeah.
I think I've seen a YouTube video from that show. I was like trying to find live sets, and it was like right before COVID. Maybe it was that. I don't know. The one that I wrote down is this band Growing Stone. It's Skylar, who used to play in Such Gold, and he has a ton of projects, and all of them are worth listening to. He's an incredible musician and a really fucking funny guy. All of that doesn't matter. Growing Stone has a record that just came out that I cannot stop listening to. It's so interesting, and I'm just going to pick that one. Is like, if you have to listen to a record from like what I'm suggesting, just like Growing Stone. It's called I Had Everybody Snowed, and it's just dope front to back. I just listen to it over and over, and I get something different out of it every time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because we already mentioned like a bunch of bands, that people should definitely check out just from Chicago alone. So I think that's a plenty of bands for people to kind of get their eyes on. But okay, and then so that leads me to my final question, and I like to throw this out to everyone. I know it's kind of an absurd, ridiculous question, but if you could only have 5 albums to pick to listen to for the rest of your life, what would they be?
This is like the question in Green Room, like during that whole movie. They're like, "What's your desert island band?" Have
you seen that movie? Actually, I should watch that this weekend. Yeah,
it's brutal.
It's sneaky good. At first, I was like, "This sucks," and then it gets good. Like it just turns a corner. Yeah. It gets so good.
Yeah.
I love this question because it's like I just like the scenario where you're gonna be on a desert island, but you're like, oh shit, my records. Oh fuck, I can only bring 5, and you're like, oh, not Sandinista. I don't like enough songs off of that one. So you're like trying to you're and they're records. So you've got like these big records, and you're like in I don't know, parachuting out of some plane towards the island. And you're like, fuck, at least I have these. Right. And who knows how long you're gonna fucking be there, man. You better bring some double LPs. That's why I have London Calling on there for sure. I know that's like maybe it's a little cliche of a punk pick, but like, if I'm going to be breaking coconuts open, I need Jimmy Jazz. Like I need that. And there's like, it's such a dynamic record. I don't have to tell you why, why. It's a great record. I have, SZA Control. I love that fucking record. I love SZA. Sleater Kinney, The Woods. That's a huge one for me. Elliott Smith Figure 8 Deluxe Edition that came out last year because it's got a couple extra songs on there. We don't know how long we're going to be on the island. That's a good one. There's a hip hop artist from Chicago called Saba, and he has a record called Care for Me that is fucking way up there for me. And Tim Hecker, Rave Death 1972. It's a noise record that there's going to be those times on the island. Yeah, you just need to blast the fucking noise, and that's a tried and true, like one of my top 10 records of all time is Rave Death 1972. So,
all right,
how about you, John?
Dude, very diverse selection. All right. So Neil Young has been putting out these like old live albums lately, like from like the 70s and 80s and 90s. Like I guess he's just been sitting on and like kind of waiting to release whenever he feels like it. And one of them is Live at Massey Hall, 1971, I think. It's great. It's a beautiful live record. There's some really rad versions of his songs on that, and I listen to that once a year, and it feels really good. I got that one. I got Modest Mouse, Good News for People Who Love Bad News on there. That's kind of hard to decide which Modest Mouse album I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Because it kind of switches. There are like 3 really good ones, but that's the one that got me into Modest Mouse. So I'm like, I gotta have that. And it starts with World at Large, and it's a gorgeous song.
They're like weird horns that just like laugh.
Oh yeah, horn intro.
Like a non-song. Yeah, horn intro.
All right, and then for my Saturdays. Oh no, yeah, I guess it goes horn intro into World at Large and then into Float On. Yeah. The rest of that record still gets really good. And then I put Adele 21 when I'm, trying to sing along when I'm feeling something.
Got the feelings.
That's solid.
Yeah. I struggled with the last 2. I quickly wrote down Silent Alarm by Block Party.
Dope.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm afraid that I'm taking this question way too seriously, man. This isn't going to happen. And I wrote down the Arctic Monkeys album. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. Their first full length. Super rad. I'm going to think of a really good one, like while I'm lying in bed tonight or something, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it is like an absurd question to throw at people because, it's for anyone that really loves and consumes a lot of music, it's hard, to figure out, like, if I could only pick 5 to listen to forever, like, what would they be? And, especially like, any album I think has the capacity to be that album. So, when like, I mean, I have hundreds of records, like how am I gonna pick only 5? But
have any guests on this show asked you what your 5 were?
They have, and
damn it.
Yeah. What I always tell people is like, I can tell you that I know for sure there'd be at least a Smashing Pumpkins record and there'd be at least one Fugazi record, but being on like if I had to like gun to my head, it'd probably be Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, probably In on the Kill Taker by Fugazi. I'd probably have maybe I'll Catch Fire by Alkaline Trio. I'd probably have Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, because that's a fucking flawless jazz record. I mean, it's just a flawless music album, period.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be jazz. And then it's actually there's this obscure band out of Northern California. They're like this jazz funk hip hop fusion combo called Cannonball, and it's just fucking great. It's like hip hop and big band and swing and rap and funk, and it's just everything that I love to like just kind of just get down with, all in one place. And it's a super long album, and it's just tight, dude. Like the musicianship is just killer. And I've seen those guys play live many times, and just talk about like an inspiring band to just watch, because they're just so good at what they do. And they're just so clean live. And like, I've caught them in big rooms and small rooms, and they're just always so good. Yeah. And I mean, if you're into that kind of music, you can find them on Spotify, actually. If that's music that you're into, I can send you a link to it, but they're not really,
please, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. They're not really around anymore, but they were around back in like the early 2000s, and all those guys still play. Like they're all like professional musicians, but for this like period of time, they had this collective that they did as a group called Cannonball. And it's just, I could listen to that record over and over, but that would probably be my 5, gun to my head,
Nice.
But
yeah, no one puts like a shit record on their top 5. Like every time like I've gone through the top 5 discussion with somebody, nobody like puts like, I don't know, like a shitty Clash record. No one's like, cut the crap. Definitely, I just think it's worth another listen. Like it's always like, of course, you got to have like a solid Modest Mouse record, even if you have like the poppiest, like, of course you have On the Impossible Past on there or something like that. It's like, well, duh, I'm on a fucking desert island for who God knows how long. Like, right. It's always a good list.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I figure you would want something that would be a little bit more like inspiring, kind of keep your hopes up a little bit, something maybe you could kind of get down to, you know, something like like the Adele record, like something that you could kind of like feel with or something like that, kind of, you know, touch that sentiment, you know, so you're not just going
cry
crazy.
And lay in the ocean.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sand. Dude, I just want to say that because you just reminded me of it, John, when we played Riot Fest, we played the last Riot Fest. So we got to like see all these cool bands like side stage, and Block Party played Silent Alarm front to back. And it was so fucking cool. Nice. I just wanted to say
that was rad.
Yeah, that's a festival that we are hoping to play soon. Yeah, so hopefully maybe when it comes back, maybe we'll get the ask. That'd be fun. But you know, guys, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and for answering my questions. You know, so everyone out there, be sure to check out their pre-order for their new album Laughs, coming out on Take This to Heart Records. And yeah, it's coming out later this month. Give them a listen. Kali Masi. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it.
You got it.
And I won't be everything that I should.